Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. And now let's get down to the meat and potatoes of what it is that we're talking about today. How about that? You want to do that? Because I believe that commitment is something that I have just really, my word of the year was consistency. And I've been doing an evaluation. December is my month of evaluation. And then I'm going to go into, probably in this next week, going to start getting into this whole thing of, what am I doing? How am I setting up for next year? What's it all going to look like? I've already done my 12-week, I use my Take Back Your Life journal and have done my 12-week goals. But I also have an overarching, here's what's on deck. Here's what I want to do for Saving Dinner as a company. Here's what I want to do for Leanne Ely as an individual. And here's what I want in my relationships and in my life and all of it. Because I believe that as we start to, manufacture and visualize in our minds what it is that we see that we want in our lives, instead of just allowing the water to carry us and what have you, then we can actually bring these things into fruition. You've heard the term manifestation. Well, I'm not going to get into the woo-woo of manifestation, but I will go into the science of what your reticular activating system does inside of your brain. Because your brain is always going to look for something and all the things to support the very thing that you want. And I believe that commitment and consistency go hand in hand. And what I have noticed is that my consistency was really good for a while, and then it'd be back, and then I'd be kind of like, oh, got to get back, and here we go. And part of, grit is not quitting, of course, but wouldn't you? My preference, and this is part of my whole evaluation and the analysis. And remember, when we're doing an analysis, it's not so that we can beat ourselves up and say, oh, we're just crappy and we're horrible individuals and look at how poorly I did and how badly I failed. It's not to do that. It's just look and see and say, I did an attagirl. Ooh, attagirl, you did this, you did that. It's great. But you can also look at it and see where the potholes were. It's like driving on a road. And it's weird because I live in North Carolina, but I live really close on the border between North Carolina and South Carolina. You get into South Carolina, you start getting into some potholes. What's that about? I don't know what that is, but it's true. Some of the back roads in South Carolina have a lot of potholes. And in North Carolina, they don't. So it's like going across, the border, and there's a bunch of potholes. What's up with that? So you have to look at that. You have to look at how the journey is going. How's your drive going? Do you want to be hitting the potholes? Are you going to avoid them? How can we make things better? So I think it also, when we look at, you can't just look at consistency without looking at commitment as well. And also the motivation behind all of that, because the motivation behind commitment has to do with consistency, big time. And just because maybe you didn't quite nail it down and you were better, last week than you were the week before, or you were better last month than you were the month before, or year even, you can compare. Good for you. And let's keep going forward, because we always have room for improvement. And that doesn't mean we're being perfectionists. It just means that we understand and in our human nature that this drive to become all that we can possibly become is innately ours. And I believe it's put there as a God-given blessing in our lives so that we can optimize and be, that servant with all the talents, not just one measly little one, but a lot, We were created for such a time as this. But when you're talking about commitment, you got to look at it from the perspective of what's commitment all about? What is it? Well, when it comes to bacon and eggs, the chicken made a contribution, but the pig was deeply committed. you know, um, that's about being 100% on board. We've talked about this. Um, we've talked about being 100% in versus being 95% in, because being 95% in is exhausting. It's exhausting because it still gives you wiggle room to choose. Am I going to be doing this or am I not? When you just take the choice off the table, then it's the decision's made for you. It's a done deal. I had a friend who quits drinking, and not because he was an alcoholic, not because he was whatever, but he didn't feel good. He did a blood glucose monitor, and I'll be showing you mine. Mine just came in the mail. I haven't gotten it all set up and ready to go, but it will be going on my arm. Trust me, it will be going on my arm, and I will be sharing the data, because I really believe that this is a real interesting peek-see inside of how your body is reacting to certain things. And I also believe, we don't get a big picture analysis, and you know how I am about big pictures, when we're just pricking our finger, a couple of times a day or whatever. I want the big picture. So yes, you can order those now. It's a commitment. Did I say commitment? It's not cheap. So I ordered it for 3 months. I'm doing it for 3 months, and it costs $250 a month. But for the data, that data is going to be priceless. It's going to be priceless. It's going to tell me what I do well with and what I don't, because I want to keep my insulin down, of course, which keeps my, which will help keep the blood sugar levels down, which will tell me what's optimal for my body, how I react to a lot of exercise, how I react to lesser exercise, how I react to the foods that I'm eating. I have a feeling that it's going to tell me lentils are just not my thing. Love them. Just love them. I love a Mediterranean diet. Love it. I don't think it's my thing, though. It kind of makes me a little bloated, makes me feel a little bad, crummy. Even if I sprout the grain, the beans and do all of that, even with all those vegetables and everything that we're eating and all the soups and stuff, I don't think it works for me. But I'm going to have the data to prove it. You know why? Because I'm committed to getting this data and knowing how my body reacts, and our bodies, let's just say this too, our bodies react differently as we go on. That's just how it is. But if I'm going to be 100% committed to something, then I'm going to go all in. I'm going to go in. I'm going to pay the money. I'm going to get the device. I'm going to scan it on a regular basis, and I'm going to see what everything is about. And guess what's going to go with it? A food journal. So, but we have to look at this, because I know that you're all not going to do that, and I'm not asking you all to do it, right? Because this for me is a transformative thing. And this, as a nutritionist, I'm going to geek out and get the science and get the data. I want to do this. See, there you go. Darla says, my mom has one for her type 2 diabetes, and it shows her what is affecting her right then. It does. Of course it does. And I've seen a lot of people, there's been a lot of people who are in my wellness world who've been doing this, and it's just completely changed the way that they do things and the way that they eat and what have you. And it also shows and indicates how customized our food is. But that's all an aside. That's all a sidebar. And what I want to say to you is that what the truth is, though, is glucose monitors aside, when it comes to doing something, most of us half-ass it. That's the truth. We're not 100% devoted, and we're not 100% committed and in. We kind of wiggle a little bit. I want to do this, and I want to do that. And that's fine. But, if we're going to go all the way, going all the way it has a whole different mindset than the wiggle room does. Going all the way means that you are committed to that plan and to get that done. I don't know why my nose is itching all of a sudden. And I will say too that this is the truth that I know about a lot of you, about me, and about all of us, we are committed 100% to our marriages, to our relationships with our kids, to our elderly parents. We care for them. We care for everyone, but we drop the ball on the commitment to ourselves. Psh, there's a truth bomb. Isn't that true? But to ourselves, we drop it. And I'm going to tell you this, it's okay to not, you don't need to feel compelled to commit to something you don't want to commit to. Of course not. I mean, it'd be like forced marriage, right? No. But if you decide that this is something that you want, if you decide this is something you want to do, then go all in and stop messing around. Stop half-assing it. Because I'm going to tell you this, straddling a fence, that's exhausting. Can you sit there and straddle a fence all day? Make a decision. Go on one side or go on the other. Just make a decision. So I believe it's imperative to figure out what we want and then to figure out what our whys are and to follow through for them. But to be all in 100% means we have to let go of any other options. Let go. So check this out. I'm thinking about this a long time, but commitment really is a whole lot like food because commitment doesn't care, right? It doesn't care. It's you either have it or you don't. You're either committed, but as soon as something puts its little head up like a prairie dog, you're like, oh, what, bacon? Oh, is something here for me? And if anybody has ever lived in Colorado, we lived in Boulder, and there was a huge field of these prairie dogs that just like all day long, a little up and down and up and down. And but you know what? I'm telling you, I'm committed, but is full on half-assery. It doesn't get you any results. And that's what commitment is. Have you noticed too, that when you make a commitment, and I shared with you in my Take Back Your Life journal, I made a commitment to my relationships. Willow loves prairie dogs. I made a real commitment to my relationship with my kids, my relationships with Mark, my relationship, it was an intense, deliberate thing because it's too easy for me to bonk out. It's too easy to not be appreciative. It's too easy to keep things to myself. This is my natural tendency is to just like, oh, cool. Yay. Thanks. Let's go. And on and on. And saying thanks is important, but saying, you know what? I really appreciate that you went the extra mile and that you did that for me. Thank you. And you know what? That reaps so many rewards. So just give you an example. Our Misfits box came and I've got bone broth in the refrigerator. I've got all this stuff. Guess who made the soup today? The hot milk soup. Marco made the soup today. You know why he made the soup today? Because every time he does, I appreciate the dickens out of him. And it just keeps into this little cycle of making it happen. It's been such a neat thing. And you don't do it to get back. You do it because you want that person to feel the love that you have for them. And I think so often we keep that inside. Our commitment shows when we talk about it. Our commitment comes out when we give the appreciation. Have you noticed that? I have. And our choices are made based on commitment. Have you noticed that? To eat, the bread or not, that's based on commitment. Are you all the way in on the hot milk Sprint, or are you just sort of half-assing it? You just have a little toast with breakfast. You like toast with your eggs. So we're just going to do that. Or there's cream and sugar in your coffee because, that's how it is. But I'm going to do the rest of it. You know where I'm going with all of this. I will tell you this, and we're all a part of this. Life happens. Life happens. Always. And something is always going to throw a monkey wrench into your plans. It does for me too. But my whole black and white thinking, unfortunately, is that I'll just, oh, yeah, there it is. And I might, get off. I might be off the bike for a week. I might be, not doing my thing. And why is that? And I've just decided that, and part of my whole decision-making process has been that I'm going to be fully committed. I'm not going to be finding an excuse. I'm going to be fully committed. And if it doesn't work out because something pops up, I can still do something. That, my friends, is excellence, not perfectionism. That's when we show up for our lives. We don't check out and say, well, might as well just, get on my phone and play some games. No, fully committed finds a way, just like Diana Nyad. All the way. All the way. When you go all the way, there is something intrinsically different that happens to you. I have been married for 10 days now. And I will tell you, but things are the same, but they're not. They're not. There's no easy out here. There's a commitment here. There's deep commitment. We had a big discussion last night about, what we're going to do. And, I need to give you this stuff. And how are we going to set this stuff up for later? And, just things that you have to discuss and talk about. But when we're committed, we make a plan and we stick with it. We don't just check out. But I will tell you too, that we're all looking for some kind of motivation to keep us going, aren't we? And I will say that when motivation wears thin, it's the commitment that takes us through, that keeps us going. So today, I have an accountability partner with my bike, because I'm going to be just perfectly honest with you. I don't love it. I don't just say, ooh, goody, I get to get on the bike and sweat my butt off and just do it. I don't love it. But I made a commitment, and I do the strength training. There's strength training that goes on it. I do my meditations in the morning. I do another one at night and do the strength training. And then it was the bike. So here's what happened is my accountability partner, I do 10, 15 minute, 20-minute rides. I don't go all out like that because there's a reason why. And it's not because of lack of commitment. It's because of fear of finding myself back into the place of having that cascade of symptoms with my thyroid. If I do too much and too hard, it's going to lay me out. So I had to be careful about this. But she took me to task and said, hey, do the 30-minute Sam Yo AC/DC ride. And I'm not a big fan of AC/DC, but I do like a little AC/DC. I thought, well, what the heck, I'll just do it. So I did it. 6 miles, and I just all the way and just dripping sweat, and it was hard. But you know what? I found a way, and I felt like Diana Nyad touching the shore with all the stingrays and jellyfish stinging the heck out of me. I did it. So when I look at, am I tired? I think to myself, you know what? I might be tired, but so was Diana Nyad, and she was on her way to that goal to complete it. Am I going to be all in, or am I going to half-ass it? I want to go all in. I want to complete it. I followed through. I did it according, though, to my ability. Because when he was calling for cadences and putting the tension up, you put the tension up on the bike and it goes up, and he had it at 47. I can't stay in the saddle at 47. I was up and I was at 42. I was out of the saddle at 42, and I'm just going to get this done. And then I finally had to sit down. Everybody else is going, but I'm down, and I finished at the bottom third of the class out of hundreds of people. But do you want to hear, why I'm sharing this all with you? Because my performance isn't what counted. My commitment's what counted. I stayed the course. I made a decision that I was going to do this. My motivation was falling down, but my commitment was there. 6 miles plus later, I found a way. Even though I was tired, even though I was not loving it, the music was great. I had it turned up all the way, but we just do a little bit. If we do just a little bit, sometimes that's enough. But if you make a commitment and you say you're going to show up, and you talk to your accountability partner, by the way, Body Clutter Buddies, good idea. Lots and lots of people who have made their goals, who have stayed the course because of their accountability partners. I've shared the stat with you, and it's really important. If you get an accountability partner, your chances of success goes up. If you're in a commitment, a community rather, your chance of success goes up because you're all like-minded, you're all on the same page. We have that in the Hot Melt Sprint. If you go another step up and you get an accountability partner, it now goes up to like an 80% chance of you finding your way to your goal. Take it another step up and tell your accountability partner, let's have meetings. I mean, this is like an employee review or something, right? Let's have meetings. And you show up and have meetings and say, these are my goals, hold me to this, etc. Your chance of succeeding goes up to like 94%. Isn't that amazing? The stats are on your side. The odds are in your favor. It's no longer you're going to fall down. Oh man, 6 mile runs? No, not me. I did it on a bike. Yes, indeed, Willow. Endorphins do keep us working out because they do keep us happy. They're everything. So commitment's dedication, right? It is 100% dedication and determination, while motivation fuels the desire and the drive to get started in the first place. But you got to ask yourself this question: how bad do I want it? How bad do I want it? Do I really want this? So let's talk about this. How do we connect what it is that we want with commitment? How do we do that? Well, I've got some things for you, about 3 things, I think. I'm going to talk about them because these are things that I use in my own life, because I'm just the same human being that you are, and I need things to keep me going. I need the tricks, I need the hacks, I need the tools, I need all of the things, and I use them all. This is what works. Number 1 is the big picture analysis of a goal. So let's say you wanted to lose 100 pounds, and I have coached plenty of women who have, and I never, ever, ever has wavered in the 27 plus years that I have been doing this, where I haven't noticed this exact pattern. And that is, if you want to lose 100 pounds, the person who's on that I want to lose 100 pounds track does the same thing every single day, day in and day out. Whether it's boring, whether they're tired, whether or not, they keep track of their food. They have a plan. They have a plan for their sleep, for their hydration, for their movement, for all of it. They track it. They stay in touch with all of it. They take, every time there's a sprint, they're there. Every time there's something that, we're doing the Hot Melt 30, they're there, they're posting. I see this. There's a consistency that happens, and that consistency is driven by a commitment. And that commitment is to their strong why. They're hotly desiring this goal. And that's the thing that's going to open the door to the commitment and get you to the place of actually getting it done. That big picture analysis is connecting with your why. That's what that's all about. You break it down, you look at it, you create a plan for it. You figure it out. Instead of thinking about how long it's going to take, I will tell you, women who I have coached who've lost 100 pounds or more never talk about that, ever. Do you know why? Because they're committed to the lifestyle change way more, because their why is huge. We're going to talk about that. To them, it's a road trip, And let me just say, there's a big difference between getting out and getting into your car and going to the grocery store, as opposed to getting ready for a road trip and going cross country. That's a different requirement entirely. It means a plan. It means rest stops. It means fuel for your car and for your body. It means that you're going to figure out places to stay. It means that you've got this whole thing planned out. You don't just get on the road and hope for the best. You've got a plan, especially if it's going to take you a few days. This is how we're going to go. This is where we're going to stop. And if you're like me and you have a diesel car, I've got a diesel car, you look for diesel. Not every gas station will work. That's how you keep going. And that commitment to excellence is in the small things that are done on a daily basis. It's staying the course, even when you don't want to. It's showing up, even when you're tired and you don't want to. It's staying up all night with a sick baby. It is holding your father's hand as he's sitting on the toilet. You know, that's commitment right there. And we need to get committed to ourselves the same way that we are committed to the people that we love in our lives. We need to get committed to our health and committed to what it is that we want and make that as intrinsically part of who we are as it is to the commitment that we have for each other. It's a big deal. But guess what? It's a road trip. You can figure this out. There are plenty of places to stop along the way. There's plenty of time for rest. Every single thing that we do, one little bite does matter. One little thing does matter. Forgetting about your hydration, going to bed late, all of that does matter because it plays into the big picture. A big picture analysis is going to give you a snapshot of what it is that you need to do next. Number 2 is a vision board. I don't know about you, I'm visual. I need to see things in a visual way. I can't connect the dots. I've shared with you before, and my poor team knows this. Do not give me a spreadsheet because if I have to look here and look across there, and then look here and then look across there, I can't connect all the dots. I need an analysis. The reason I need an analysis is because the analysis is going to give me that big picture snapshot. It's going to show me exactly what it is that I need to know and what it is that I need to act on, possibly, and what I need to question or see if we can do better on, whatever. We do that every single week. We have a meeting, and this is what we do. We go through, we check everything out. We look at all of our stats and we discuss them. It's what businesses do. But this is what people do who are involved in their lives too. And I say, make a vision board of what it is that you want. Don't just make it and then forget about it. Make it and look at it. Make it and connect your desire to it. Make it and decide, this is what I want. Make it and look at it with that discernment, with those eyes. Look at it and see the dock and the tree and the water. And know that if you connect to that, your reticular activating system will help you to take you to the next level, because that's how your brain works. But I will tell you, one of the things that I did, and you've heard the story about the house enough, right? But one of the things that I would do is I would look at my vision board in the morning, first thing with my coffee, and just before I close my eyes for meditation. And I would look at it right before I went to bed, or right when I close up my office, because it's in my office right under my clock. I'm looking at it right now. And I would look at it and I'd put my hand on it and say, coming for you. That's what I would say to my vision board. When we're activating that kind of, our reticular activating system in our heads, in our brains, then we're going to be looking for evidence to support that. I promise you, it's like nothing. It's a trip and a half, and it makes it fun. Number 3 is your why matrix. That is for the win. This is how we get to why. We can't get to why without asking ourselves these big questions. What's your why about? Why do you feel this way? Why do you want these things? Why? All the way. Because the deeper the motivation on your why and why you want something, the greater the commitment you're going to make. Right? And guess what? The greater your commitment, the better your consistency. I am going to have for my goal next year being an athlete, because I wavered this year. I was an athlete part of the time, and then the other part of the time was like, I got this, I got that. We got all these things going. I've got to get into this. I got to get into that. Sure. Sure. But my whole thing is, what is my motivation behind this whole athlete thing? Well, I'll tell you what. I am 63 years old, and I am going to live to be 120 years old, vibrantly. And if I want that, then I got to set up now. Set up to be as strong as I possibly can be, because I'll tell you what, I'm stronger today than I was yesterday or last week. I did 6 miles to AC/DC. What do you want? Isn't this the truth? Your commitment is deeply personal to you. My commitment is deeply personal to me. I want to be that vibrant old lady. If I want to be that woman, then I damn well better set it up and tee it up for right now. There's a lot of work to do here. There's a lot of stuff. I got to feed it. I got to train for it. I got to do a lot of things. I got to de-stress, sleep better, hydrate better, all these things. I am not overwhelmed. I'm stoked. That's what I am. Because you know why? I'm committed. Are you? Our commitments are going to take us to that next level that we all hotly desire. And I am choosing you off right now, sister. I am, to live that life. What do you say? Pinkies up on that one? What do you know? Let's do it. Peace be with you. I certainly appreciate the fact that you show up. Makes my day. Okay, Jane. Jane says she wants me to come to her 120th birthday when I'm 111. You got it. 100%. Spunky Old Ladies Club. Are you kidding me? I expect all of my spunky old ladies to do this. That's what my expectation is. I love you all. Peace be with you. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.